Well, convertibles are a niche market, and they say they are only bought in California, Germany and England predominantly. So is an SUV convertible an even smaller niche? Does that even make sense? Well, we will find out today. An SUV convertible by Volkswagen here with the T-Roc Cabriolet. A very interesting choice and, well, for example, for car enthusiasts like me who love to drive with open top. How does it make sense? What about this car in exterior, interior, and also the prospect of driving it? And we will also show you different trims, here also, for example, with the R line. Everything you need to know on Autogefühl, your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews and the #1 community to discuss cars. Today with Thomas in Full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go. The color with this vehicle here is called Ravenna Blue. It's a very beautiful one. Yes, also one we would call Thomas Blue here on Autogefühl according to my favorite color scheme. You can see here the daytime running light is in the lower end. This is just the same as with the T-Roc normal SUV with a closed top. Also the whole front, the strong T-Roc scheme right here with the big upright front grille. Then you have optional LED headlamps. The main unit here on the top, and this one here is the style. The convertible is only available as style or as R-Line. We will also soon show you the R-Line in depth, and here the style is not that sporty as the R-Line, but already I think for an SUV or for a crossover a quite strong and sporty look. And again, from the front you could not really see that this is the convertible. They kept it really all the same, but I think it's overall a good design job. What do you think? The length is at 4 meters 27, 14 foot or 168 inches. And the interesting thing about this one here is the wheelbase and the overall length is both 4 centimeters longer, just slightly, than the normal T-Roc SUV. And hey, how do they do that? So, because of this MQB building platform, they can actually put it a little bit longer without causing too much additional cost. And why did they do that? Well, because of this convertible roof, there's more space being used here, so they put it 4 centimeters longer, that you have at least some more legroom. Well, we'll see how that plays out, if that will be suitable for 4 persons. I doubt it, but we'll find out in the interior part very soon. What is remarkable here, that is basically a straight line here, so that's a very timeless design, definitely. But we definitely have to acknowledge that this one here, as it's not a sporty convertible, it does look a little bit bulky in this area. That's the price you pay for the higher and more comfortable seating position, definitely. Other than that, you can see the main design line dividing in light and shadow, or shadow and light, depending on your viewpoint, right here above the door handles. The wheels, those ones here are 18-inch. You also get smaller ones, and the biggest one would be 19-inch. This one, again, the style level, here with the plastic wheel arches too. You get a base suspension, then you also have, when you go for the R-Line, the R-Line sport suspension, so it's a little bit stiffer. And I would guess that optional at a later stage you can also get a DCC, the adaptive suspension, because that's also available for the T-Roc SUV. Well, you can see here how the car looks like open, and it was very interesting here, the convertible roof, there is no separate cover for that. So it's just folded flat in here, but it looks very seamlessly integrated, so that's very nicely done. And the thing is that because of that, the convertible roof only takes 9 seconds to open and close, because they don't need a separate one. And you can hold the key, for example, just hold the closing button, or as an alternative to the key, you can actually twice hold the door handle and keep holding it. And so at the moment I'm still holding then the door handle, and then you can see the roof closing. So both mechanisms are actually available, and of course you can also do it from the inside. This one here, of course, a pre-production status, so here the last bit of the convertible roof will close even a little bit nicer in the final production model. And again, just 9 seconds it takes because, you know, there's no separate cover than in the rear part, and up to a speed of 30 kilometers an hour. That's not, you know, like the 50 kilometers an hour we see from other sporty convertibles, but it's the same, you know, speed amount than that was, for example, with the Golf convertible. And now, of course, very interesting to have this line. And again, due to those new roofs here, they can keep it rather sleek, especially here in this area, so it does not look that bulky than with the closed top. So very interesting, definitely. And indeed, when the roof is closed, it doesn't look so much different than the SUV coupe, than the normal one with the fixed roof. Very interesting. By the way, from the whole building style, of course, because you don't have any stability in the upper part, therefore they've strengthened here this A-pillar, also now in the lower area, and then also the underfloor to gain back this stiffness. Therefore, the convertible is always a little bit heavier than the coupe version, but it won't be that, you know, noticeable while driving. And of course, the convertibles have a lower center of gravity for that reason. And this new roof here also has some stability in a transverse way, so while driving it will not blow up or something, it will always be kept straight like this. So what's your take? Well, the lower part here in the rear is again the same as the normal SUV T-Roc. Modern signature here also as for the tail lamp. And, oh, fake exhaust alert here in the lower part. The rear one is just right here underneath. And again, the R-line, we will also show that to you very soon, looks a little bit different here also in the rear. If you compare then the SUV to the convertible, look at that one here, there's an additional spoiler lip right there. So indeed, I think it also looks a little bit bulky from the rear. That's again the downside of it, but overall still a modern design also here with this T-Roc badging. And very interesting, by the way, this one here is built in Germany in the Osnabrück plant, and that's exactly the one where also the previous convertibles have been built, like, you know, the Beetle and the Golf convertible and so on. So a traditional convertible plant where they will build this one. And now to the R-line. Again, there are two styles available, either the so-called style or the R-line. Of course, also both in different colors. And the R-line has here a stronger lower bumper, definitely. It looks more air intake-ish right there, has an R-line badge, and also this somewhat honeycomb structure, so overall a little bit more aggressive from the front already. Those ones here are the top 19-inch wheels, the biggest ones that are available, pretty massive. And you can see even the R-lines here has this plastic wheel arch. Then you get an R-line badge right here. The lower bumper is a little bit different then, and towards the rear again you can see those bigger wheels. But the changes here for the R-line and the side profile are overall quite subtle. I think it makes more difference if you go for a smaller or for bigger wheel size as for the sporty look. And in the rear of the R-line you can see there's this black contrast strip right there. And in the lower part you got this somewhat diffuser style just here with the black. It's looking a little more clean than the other one, I would say. So which one is your favorite, the normal style or the R-line? But again, as I said, I think it rather makes sense to pick between the wheel sizes if you want to make it sportier or not, because the changes are not that big. And here, by the way, we also have the direct comparison. Here, the R-line convertible to the true R, the T-Roc, the coupe. So you can a little bit, you know, see the style, how it looks like with the closed one. And you see the front is definitely quite the same, even from the true R to the R-line here. In comparison to the standard T-Roc, the engine portfolio here for the convertible will be somewhat limited. It starts with a 1-liter 3-cylinder engine, turbo petrol, 115 horsepower with a 6-speed manual gearbox. And this one here you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4. This one here is the 1.5-liter 4-cylinder turbo petrol engine with 150 horsepower, either with the manual gearbox we have here today or then optional with the 7-speed DSG. And that's it so far. Maybe there will be also other engines later. The sales of this car start in spring 2020. And, well, will it also be available with all-wheel drive? So far not. All is front-wheel driven. And you know, when a T-Roc in general has all-wheel drive, it's always front plus rear. But so far they decided to keep the convertible with the rather low spec engines, not making it too racy or so. Well, the downside is you don't have like a version available with a lot of punch. On the other hand, it also keeps the price low, and that's very important in nowadays market where we hardly have any convertibles which you can really afford. You know, most premium convertibles are very high in pricing. There are hardly any left. You know, a Mazda MX-5 is affordable, for example, but then you know the model offering already gets pretty thin. So I think it's somewhat okay to keep it with the low engines at first, at least still. Yeah, what about a T-Roc R convertible? Let's keep dreaming for a while. Here we have the car key, standard Volkswagen as we also know it from the Golf. Keyless entry, here when you put your hand on the outside you close it, and then also those mirrors flip in. Yeah, of course, it's again an option and then it folds out when you open the vehicle. Then inside of the doors, of course, frameless windows, as we know from convertibles and coupes. And then here, this one here is hardback. I mean, it is a structured surface, so it looks actually quite good. And it feels also good. They worked a little bit on that. So maybe you can see the structure, you can feel it. So I think because it is structured, it's okay that it's hardback in this case. You know, it makes a better quality impression now. Then a fitting interior deco element. There are different colors available. Fabric on the inside, so a good build quality as for that. Reasonable space on the inside here of the doors. It's good for bigger bottles when you're on a convertible trip. Here also with the optional Beats sound system, 12 speakers, 400 watt. This interior, it looks quite similar to the one we know already from the T-Roc, from the normal one. Those seats here, beautiful job, great fabric choice with different colors, so they will keep you cool in summer and warm in winter. Definitely would go for those, or the optional R-line seats I will also show to you. So it looks good, also with some contrast stitches here. And if you think, oh, wait a minute, those fabric seats here for a convertible, it's no problem. I can tell you, I've been owning convertibles for years and years, and before it rains, you just close the roof. And that's exactly easy also to do here. Then let's get inside here. And this is, the big advantage. I also like to drive sporty cars, yes, but I also enjoy this comfort here because you can get in and out very easily. And if you think about, I'm really a convertible fan, but I'm not so keen anymore to, get in a low-sitting sports car convertible. This could be the solution. I think this is also the reason why this car really makes sense, because you combine the convertible with more comfort. And, it's a little bit more upright and higher seating position than you would know from the, from a normal car. Definitely works. So, yeah, why not? You can adjust the steering wheel right here, like this, manual. And this is also manual seat. There are also electric one available here for pumping up your all. And again, it's a very comfortable seating position. Those seats here also do a good job. They have great ergonomics. So I could very well imagine driving also a longer trip in this car. And question is now, of course, when we close the roof, how will it play out as for the headroom? Because at the moment it's all open top and so on. Let's see. By the way, strange, when we pull the button for the roof, it closes, and when we push it, it opens. I would like it the other way around. That's definitely better as for my taste. And yeah, maybe you come closer a little bit, because here there's still plenty of headroom left with 1.86 m or 6'1". So even tall people will get along. It's a very soft roof, and there's also multi-layer roof, so it promises to be very silent, even though you go for the soft roof here. So I think that's again nicely done. Here, by the way, hard-packed materials on the dashboard. Yeah, that could be also a little bit better. But then again, we have to think about, of course, it's not a super cheap car, but this one here will not be the very high-priced convertible. That's also a thing to remember. The interior overview, here again with those colorful decor elements. Again, you can also pick other colors, but of course this is very fitting to the exterior Ravenna blue color. Pretty simple and clean, this interior. You either get a 6.5-inch screen here, optional this one here, the 8-inch one that also features a gesture control already, but still has those knobs, and that's quite good for volume. And when you are in the GPS menu actually, or here inside the map, then you can also use it for zooming in and out. Then on the left side it starts with analog instruments and optional those 11.7 digital instruments, so you have the choice there. Typical Golf steering wheel here on the right side to control the digital instruments, and left side for the cruise control and volume. And the classic climate unit, also easy to control it while driving. I like it, that way definitely. Heated steering wheel is available together with the heated seats here on one button, but you can also do it separately then in the menu, but with the hotkey then here with the button right there. In the lower end, you already have USB-C devices now too, and also a big space to put your smartphone right there, start-stop button. This one here, the 6-speed manual gearbox talked about earlier. Electric handbrake in the lower part with some non-adaptive cup holders, sadly. But overall, a good build quality we see here. Some, more hard-packed materials, that could have been done a little bit better, but other than that, everything is solid, and also the gaps and so on. It's just a prototype model here, but even for that, it's actually quite well done. Then the armrest also is quite well attached with some cubby hole inside. Of course, you will always be fine with the normal analog instruments. Those ones here are somewhat cool because they offer you more information, and they can also, be a little bit more flexible. Here also with the view change. Close up at the 8-inch infotainment system right here. This is the home menu. You also have the App Connect, and you connect with the cable, the Apple CarPlay or the Android Auto, for example. And a close-up at the map here once more. And this one is the new MIB3, so this new infotainment building platform. This is different than the SUV Coupe or the normal T-Roc, so to say. The normal T-Roc will probably receive that one here also later than with the product update or with a facelift. So that's something at the moment new to the convertible. But the thing is, here at the moment you can only watch the GPS here, not in the virtual instruments, not at all. And in the normal T-Roc, you can either view it here or at the other side. But they are still working on the software updates. So at the later stage, I guess it will be possible that you then, like in the Passat and the Golf, watch it both at the same time in the instruments and also here at the central screen. And, well, in the lower area, there's a mode button for the driving modes. And there we see, that's our answer. Yes, this car will be available with DCC. So that's a secret we found out right here just with pushing some buttons. That's nice, live on Autogefühl. Oh, and there's a special convertible button. We have also here one to open and close all windows at the same time. By the way, about safety, very important also with convertible, the autonomous emergency brake is standard equipment, also the lane assist, so that's good. Optionally, you can, for example, get here a blind spot monitor. This car is also equipped with it, and you can see this symbol that flashes then when you want to turn and someone is approaching from the rear. And then there's also this anti-roll bar, so those parts will pop out when a certain level is reached. So there are sensors for that, so you're also safe when the car would be rolling over, which is still not that realistic, okay. But then also you have a towing hook, by the way, so they also thought of that when building this convertible. And now what about getting in the rear? Well, you have the seats here, doing like this, and you can push it in the front, but behind the driver's seats, that's not that realistic. You can see here, there's hardly any legroom left. Yeah, I mean, due to this 4-centimeter increase in wheelbase, there is more legroom left than it would be when they would have kept the same length. But it's, not really that well possible for me. So I would have to do it like this. So, spread the legs a little bit. Then it does actually work. So I can sit here. Of course, it's a little bit better when you use the co-driver seat and then have a 3-person setup, for example. So how does it work when you put your legs straight? We have a special setup here for you. Well, guys, and this is the seating setup that would still work. So me, a little bit taller in the front, but it comes very close. And then Holger, say hi to Holger. Thank you also for his work. And well, then he directly fits in here. So yeah, Holger is not small, but a little bit smaller than me in height. Yeah, that does fit from the knees, but not sure if we would drive 200 or 300 kilometers with that, but that's possible. But that's also for 3 adults. You know, on the driver's side, you know, it's even more critical because I could not go that far in the front. So, yeah, rather emergency seats, but not that way emergency seats as we, for example, know from Porsche 911 or something. So, yeah, you can use those back seats in a limited way. So, we close the roof once more. But at the same time, I open the windows. That's also a cool setup here. So, when I'm sitting in the rear here, that works pretty well as for the headroom. So, even with my height, again 1 m 86 or 6'1", it's no problem here. I can easily sit here. So that's actually quite cozy. So yeah, you know, when you sort your legs out a little bit, then it does work. Or, you know, the setup we just shown you there with Holger. So overall, I think if you compare it also to other convertibles, it's still quite well usable. Now we hop over to the R-Line interior. You can see here something of the ambient light. And there's also a different decor element. Again, you can pick different colors for that. Here a little bit sporty, a little bit more subtle. Then you can get this one. You ultimately get this one with the Ajlan entry badge, and also aluminum pedals in the lower part. Everything here is quite the same, again with those other decor elements. And then those seats. Those ones are special. Those ones are the special R-Line seats. And they're fabric on the inside, and then those gray Alcantara accentuations right there. That feels great, looks beautiful. Again, a great seating choice. You have a little bit more side support, and the outside part is leatherette. So both choices we've shown you today here are also animal friendly. That's cool. And they, again, also keep cool in summer and warm in winter times. So I can really recommend both seats. I can compare it comfort-wise. Let me take a seat right here. So let's see if that makes any difference in the seating comfort. So it also feels good. Yeah, you feel that you have a little bit more support. It's not too much or, you know, too big of a difference. So I can, you know, sometimes it's like, you know, oh, the sport seat is less comfortable, or sometimes the sport seat is more comfortable. Here in this case, I think they both come somewhat close as for the seating form, so it doesn't make too much of a difference. I think it's a little bit question of style, if you want a little bit sportier style. But I think I would also be happy with the style version of the car. Although visually wise, you know, especially with the gray Alcantara, this looks pretty much kick-ass, you know. And the R-Line also gets this special steering wheel with the flat bottom. And this nice Alcantara styling is also continued all over the back seats. So what about the loading area? Is this critical? First of all, we flip the logo here, as we know it also from the other versions. And then you're, of course, limited in loading in and out. Yes, this one here is about 280 liters to compare the previous generation Evoque convertible, 250 liters, so a little bit bigger than with the Evoque. And if you compare an Audi A3 convertible, for example, that's 320 liters, so less than, for example, an A3 convertible. And what is that in the measurements? So the length here is a little bit less than 80 centimeters to this part, but here to the seats, it's 85 centimeters, and the width is, yeah, a little bit less than a meter, but still quite okay. And the height here, so that's about 40 centimeters. I think you can live with that. Also, suitcase and so on will fit in there with a weekend trip for 2. That should be no problem. And then you can also release those seats right here, and they directly flip. That's nicely done. Here we go. And then you can even load longer things through. So, maybe even for skiing or something like that. So, it's of course limited as for the loading through width, but then if you put the measuring stick here in length, wow, I mean, that's, if you use the middle armrest here, that's 2 meters here, you know, so even that works. So weekend trip to IKEA to get some new furniture, that would still work probably. And when you have flipped those seats here, you can see there's an quite even surface here. That's okay. So you can put bags on here without, damaging the seat surface or something. So that's also a good solution. Folds quite flat, and top tether on the back side. And there was also ISOFIX on the front side. So for child seats, the rear seats, 2 each. So on both seats is also suitable. So both child seats and also for putting bags right here. So we started this review with the question, does it make sense to have an SUV or a crossover convertible? And I say, yes, absolutely. The Range Rover Evoque was already very successful as convertible. And the thing is, in the past, before there were any SUVs, when people wanted to buy a lifestyle vehicle, they picked a convertible. And nowadays, quite often, when people want something lifestyleish, they go for SUVs. So why not combining SUVs and convertibles? And you maybe think about, first of all, there are hardly any affordable convertibles on the market anymore. Most of them are premium and really high priced. So it's really great to see another convertible which is not top end of the price list. And then, more and more people, especially if you're like, for example, a little bit older, doesn't mean that you old, just from your head. Just you maybe don't want to get in and out of a very sporty low convertible and want a little bit more comfort. And I can really understand that, especially when you're a little bit taller, you tend to get lower back pain in very, very low sitting sports car convertibles, also depending on the seat ergonomics and so on. And here it actually makes a little bit more sense to combine the comfort aspect with driving open top. So yes, there are sporty and fun convertibles on the market. This one here is more set out to give this leisure aspect with enjoying the ride, cruising with open top, not really attacking the road. That's also one of the reasons why they tend to keep with the smaller engines here. So I think, yes, the concept makes sense to me. And I would really, consider going for this one. Of course, drive it first, consider also comparing to sportier ones. Yeah, I also like to drive sporty, but not everyone does, and comfort is also very important to me. So, indeed, this could come close to my shortlist. Exterior-wise, we see in the front, looks just like the normal T-Roc, very modern, strong front. The side profile, yes, we have to admit, it looks a little bit bulkier than the Coupe, especially here with the open top. But it has a very timeless line, just a straight line, and that's rather also a timeless design. Of course, it doesn't look that sleek because it's a crossover or SUV convertible. So a sports car convertible always looks sleeker. You have to bear that in mind. But then the big advantage is you can get in and out easy. You sit a little bit more upright than in a normal car, and especially if you compare it to like an MX-5 or something, And you relatively keep low in the price, especially if you go for a lower trim version or something. And again, since they don't offer the biggest engines, also the price keeps a little bit lower. Maybe I would have wished a version where I have a little bit more punch. All-wheel drive, no one will go off-road with this car, but also not with the T-Roc Coupe or something. So you can also say, why don't they offer an all-wheel drive version or something? Yeah, maybe they'll build the T-Roc R for me. Gotta talk to Joost Capito, head of Volkswagen R, about that, I think. So, in the interior, I think beautiful fabric seats in this one here. We've also seen the R-line seats, so they have good choice there. And yes, it does make sense to go for fabric seats also in a convertible, because I've never experienced a situation where I had to clean them, like from rain or something. You usually close the top before, especially because it goes quite fast here. And then it keeps cooler in summer, especially when you want to drive this car. Interior bridge core is quite cool. Yeah, besides, this hardpack at the doors here, we talked about that before quite a lot of times. They could do that a little bit better. Other than that, it's quite nicely done from the interior as well. And you still have somewhat reasonable space, of course, limitations as for the convertible body. Overall, a very interesting car. I think a nice addition, and it's quite rare that we see a concept addition to the whole car market. Not the first one, yes, but the first one for Volkswagen. And I'm really anxious to see the impact of this vehicle. What about you? Please tell us your comments, and please also join us next time.